Welcome to the Festival Academy, the free digital academy helping festival and event producers adopt the best business and technology practices. The Festival Academy is presented by Level Up, Canada's business and technology hub for artists and art organizations. My name is Anna May from the Level Up team, and today's topic is email marketing. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that along with this video podcast, you will find the following items on the portal: a summary of the key takeaways provided by our expert about the topic at hand, a short summary, a practical assignment suggested by our expert for you to put into action towards your own business or career. Email marketing has been around for decades, but it remains one of the most powerful and cost-effective marketing channels available to businesses today. Hey, simply put, email marketing refers to the use of email communications in a marketing strategy to reach specific business goals. Emails can be used to generate sales, enhance customer engagement, such as newsletters, acquire customers, create brand awareness, and reward customer loyalty. For existing clients and customers, email marketing emphasizes communication and awareness. For potential customers, emails can be used to entice and attract an outreach campaign. However, despite its effectiveness, many businesses struggle with email marketing. They send out emails that go unread or marked as spam, and they fail to generate the kind of engagement that conversions that we're hoping for. Just like other social media tools continue to evolve, email marketing has gone a long way with many useful digital tools that help you craft the right message, deliver to an intended audience, and track effectiveness. In this edition of Festival Academy, we will discuss what are the many components of email marketing, how to execute an email marketing campaign, how to measure the success of your campaigns. To lead us through the topic, we have Rebecca Diem. Rebecca is a digital strategy and communications manager of the wonderful Word on the Street Festival. So what that means is that she is responsible of getting thousands of people to attend the festival. Not only that, Rebecca is an author and she has so many publications under her belt. Today's expert is Rebecca Diem. Rebecca, she is a digital strategy and communications manager at the wonderful Word on the Street Festival, which is a book festival. And so what that means is that you're in charge of getting thousands of people to attend.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Level Up Festival Academy.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we're going to talk a little bit about yourself. And so I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what you've done in the past.
So I started working at the Word on the Street Book Festival about 4 years ago. Before that, I worked at Queen's Park, actually, first as a media analyst and then later as a communications coordinator. So that meant I wrote a lot of news releases, speeches, all kinds of things, usually around very formal government reports. And so when I had the opportunity to go and work for a book festival, which I've been a lifelong reader, I'm an author myself, I jumped at the chance to kind of bring my skills in communications and marketing and merge them with my hobby and work at a book festival, which is just a really exciting opportunity.
Wow, and so this was your first foray into festivals, hey?
It was my first professional foray into festivals. I'd actually been a volunteer coordinator for a music festival in my hometown when I was fresh out of university. And so that experience taught me about working with a small team and kind of rolling with the punches of working with a nonprofit, because it was very different from my government communications role.
Mm-hmm. And so today's topic is email marketing. Can you tell us a little bit about how does email marketing fit in with your role today with the festival?
Yeah, so as the digital strategy and communications manager, I'm the one who writes all of the newsletters, who develops our email marketing campaigns, who develops the graphics and the copy, and works with my entire team in order to share information about the festival year-round with our audience, and especially during those critical months leading up to our event.
Can you talk about your experience in email marketing in this capacity as in a festival versus maybe some of your previous experiences?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest differences in terms of like my previous communications experience versus working with a festival was the tone and the purpose of the communications. Previously, a lot of my work had been to kind of translate policy into plain language for an audience so that they understood the impacts that that would have on their everyday lives. With the festival, what I'm really doing is rather than informing people, I'm trying to generate enthusiasm. I'm trying to generate interest. I'm trying to spread the word about our events and make them really appealing so that people want to attend.
Has that been challenging at all, or have you experienced other challenges with email marketing?
Absolutely. I mean, especially during the 2 years that we were a virtual festival, we have a 30-year history of live events, and suddenly we had to pivot into a virtual space that we weren't really comfortable operating in. And so email and other communications channels that were online became the primary point of contact with our festival. It became the primary way that we got to connect with our audience and reach out to them and get their feedback about our events. And it was the primary channel for interacting and engaging and building relationships with them. And so it became kind of, I would say, the cornerstone of our communication strategy over the course of the last few years.
And so I know sometimes with email marketing, folks don't read their emails, but it seems like that completely has changed in your industry, especially after the pandemic. So maybe could you talk a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned just throughout this pandemic period?
Yeah, so I think that the structure of our emails changed a lot over the course of that time because of the lessons that we were learning and because it became more of a primary focus for us. So one of the things that I started doing was including kind of a preamble at the beginning of the email that was a lot more personal in tone and in alignment with our brand voice that really allowed our audience to kind of feel like they're getting to know us, feel like they're behind the scenes with our team, planning and preparing for the events. And by setting those expectations and building that relationship from like the very fundamentals of it, it allowed us a lot of grace, especially when big changes were happening, when we had to move our events online, when we were trying to communicate about sensitive information or topics around things like new health and safety measures, new expectations for when we did return to live events. We already had a really solid relationship with our audience, and they were already very familiar with our voice through our email marketing. And so it really set us up for success.
And so we're going to talk even more about the different contents and strategies. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. But maybe we need to level set everyone with email marketing. What is email marketing? Can you define it for us?
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay.
Email marketing is newsletters, welcome messages, any kind of email communication between you and your audience. So this could be anything from a monthly newsletter that you send out on a regular basis to specific newsletters or specific emails that are designed to encourage people to RSVP for an event, to buy tickets, or to do something along those lines. So really, it's basically any kind of communications that is involving mass emails, I would say.
And so email communication with a mass email list. And so how do you develop a list? I mean, so we can talk about a festival at their infancy, but even at the mid-range, how do you build that user's list?
Yeah, I think that it's important to focus on building and growing your list, no matter what stage you're at as a festival. So the word on the street, we are currently in our 34th year. We've been operating since 1990, and so we have a very long legacy that even existed before the festival had email accounts, where we have audiences that are coming back to the festival year over year. And so when I started working at the festival 4 years ago, I inherited like a small but decent sized mailing list that I've I think I've tripled in size over my tenure as communications manager. Just because we're seeing people interact more online and need to get that communications more from their emails or from other communications channels more than they would have 20 years ago from like newspapers or from their social networks in real life. So our strategies for developing and growing our list is kind of a two-pronged approach. So we have passive channels. So that means that, for our contact and bio links for our website, we always include a link that allows people to sign up for the newsletter. We also embed a link to sign up for our newsletter in the signatures of our team's emails. So that's a really great way of passively letting people know that this is an opportunity to connect with the festival, to get our communications direct to their inbox. And that's like a passive opportunity. We also do more active solicitation through giveaways and through different opportunities like that, where we, in exchange for people signing up for a giveaway, we offer the opportunity for them to check off if they want to receive further communications from us. And then, especially in the last couple of years, when online RSVPs have become increasingly part of our communication strategy, we're able to capture emails through that venue as well. And we always provide people with an opportunity to let us know if they would also like to receive our emails outside of the specific event that they've asked to attend.
So it sounds like there's a lot of it's surrounding the call to action, whether it's passive or active. There's always some way to connect with your audience so that they can participate and be part of this list.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you kind of touched on some examples of what you've done in terms of discount codes and things like that. Can you talk about a specific marketing campaign and what surrounded that and how it was successful or not successful?
Yeah, so over the past few years that I've been working with the Word on the Street, we've seen like a lot of success with building our list through giveaways and other, I would say, like incentivized signups. So I usually segment these out from our more organic audience so that I can see whether people are just signing up to enter the giveaway or if they're interested in like a more long-term relationship with us, And so one of the things that we did when we were bringing the festival back to the streets is that we finally had our hands on all of these physical books, these physical advanced reader copies or copies of books that were hot off the presses. And we decided to host our own giveaway. We used an online platform called SweepWidget that allowed us to design a giveaway that offered users entries for signing up for our mailing list, visiting specific pages of our website, following us on our different social media channels. And it really became part of like a holistic communications strategy where we invited them into this environment. And in exchange, they had the opportunity to win like a 20-book pack of all of our headliners. And it was a really exciting thing. And I think we got like 800 new emails signed up for the list through that initiative.
Oh, that's massive, 800 emails just from one initiative.
Just from one initiative. And so that was a really exciting opportunity for us and something that added a lot of value and generated a lot of excitement, not just for our event, but for the authors that we were featuring at our event that year.
And so you mentioned strategy, right? Like that was a holistic strategy. Can you break down how do you strategize when you're thinking about email marketing?
Yeah, so I think that email marketing should be one pillar of a broader communication strategy. And what that communication strategy comes back to is really your brand's voice. Establishing your brand's voice, like the voice of your festival or the persona of your festival, is really important before you begin thinking about email or social media or your website or any kind of communications channel. Having a really strong idea of your brand's voice. So like at Watts, we sat down, we did some exercises, and we decided that we were really playful, informative, we were enthusiastic, and we really liked puns, which gave me a lot of license when developing the email campaigns, because in the alt text, when I'm describing images and making our emails accessible, I can also add in little jokes and little fun, like, a play on words, so to speak, like as part of our email strategy. Yeah, part of our email strategy is being funny. And so, it's a very playful kind of thing. So when we're thinking about our email marketing strategy, we're really tying it back to our festival's voice and our goals. Our goal is to be inclusive. Our goal is to be accessible. Our goal is to welcome people into that space and make them feel like it's like they're really part of a bigger community. And so that really sets the tone for the way that we structure the copy of the newsletter. It structures the images that we choose. It structures the community events that we choose to partner with and feature as part of our newsletter. Really, it's just part of a whole overall strategy.
And that makes sense. So first of all, you're thinking about what that umbrella is, the tone, the voice, the mission, and that umbrella really dictates everything else in your marketing strategy, whether it's email marketing or all the other components of marketing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so let's get down to the nitty-gritty now. And so let's really look at email marketing. What are the components of it then? So even talking about the subject line, the content, and the structure, can we delve deeper into that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for example, with our monthly newsletters, which we send out throughout the year, one of the challenges for us is that when we're not actively promoting our annual event, it can be tricky sometimes to know what to say. And anytime we're asking people for their time and energy and we're entering their inbox, you really want to have something to say. And so that really came down to like, all right, we want to invite them behind the scenes. We want to make them feel like they are part of planning and organizing the festival. So what we do is we'll have a big image, something really pretty that represents our festival at the top of the email. Then I'll have kind of a headline that will, talk about whatever the festival's kind of tone is that year. Right now, it's about celebrating the stories that connect us. And then I do a paragraph of preamble where I'm, kind of setting a more personal tone. It's I'm talking across the kitchen table to our audience, followed by a big red button that will be whatever that month's call to action is, followed by an additional paragraph explaining additional information, a sign-off that is personally signed by me, and then beneath that, we get into the breakdown of different things. So right now we are just featuring other community events, other partnered festivals, where we just talk about our friends and the cool stuff that's happening when people can't attend our event because it's not for a few months.
No, that's so funny. And then how about the subject line? How do you strategize that?
A lot of puns.
A lot of puns. Love it. I love it.
I'll workshop the puns with our team. Sometimes we'll get into A/B testing of different subject lines, which is especially useful when you have a larger list. If you are, planning an email campaign months in advance and you have time to do A/B testing of different subject lines, that's a really great way to segment that out and see what your audience wants. But really with subject lines, the practice that I personally do is I'll go to my own personal email, the one that I use to sign up for a million newsletters that I don't necessarily read, and I'll scroll through and see which ones jump out at me. So I'll do that. I'll read some articles on contemporary email subject line practices, and then I just kind of go with my gut and write something that amuses me.
Oh, I love it. So you mentioned A/B testing. So let's talk about that a little bit more. What do you use? Can you tell us what A/B testing is, and then how do you use it when you're working with email marketing?
Yeah, so the email marketing platform that we use at Word on the Street is a service called Emma. And what it does is it offers you the ability to A/B test. So you come up with two subject lines. So there's the A version and the B version. And what the platform will do is send those two out to a very small percentage of your overall email list first. And then whichever version is the winner or gets the most opens or the most clicks or whatever metric you decide to measure for, then it will send out the full email with that version to the rest of the list. So really, this is a strategy that's best used when you already have a very well-developed list. If you only have 100 people on your mailing list, it's not something I would recommend. I'd recommend that you just do one version of it and grow that over time. But if you're sending out a newsletter to 10,000 people, A/B testing is a really great way of assessing whether putting the date and the details of your event in the subject line is more effective than being a bit more playful.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. But then, so you're sending not a generic, but one type of email to your segment. How do you balance that with personalization of email communication?
Yeah, so I actually learned a cool trick.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which is where certain email platforms actually offer you the ability to add customization tags right within the body of your newsletter. So through the newsletter platform that we use, Emma, but I know that other email platforms do this as well. There's like a way of HTML coding it so that it pulls the data that the user has entered into their profile. So like, you know, when you sign up for an email newsletter and it asks for your name and your email, maybe a bit of other information, it stores that information in the database. And so if for example, at the beginning I say, hello, and then the way that I see it from the back end of the platform, it'll say like, you know, some weird symbols, F name, if null, friends.
Right, some coding. It's like coding language
It's
almost.
coding,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Like you're coding it into there so that it pulls the name from the database if it exists, but always remember to put an alternative in case that database doesn't have that in there. So for us, the generic form is like, we'll say, hey, friends, or like you could say, hey, attendees, or, you know, make up your own name for it. But if their name is in our database, then their name will show up in that email. And that's just like a really cool like functionality of these email platforms that I don't know, that is really useful to me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And because then you can create a deeper relationship with each individual user. And so we know that every user has their own type of personality and kind of habits. So how do you work that in with timing of emails then?
Yeah, so the timing is really about like experimentation. So through our email marketing platform, we can see and kind of get an idea of like when we're sending emails, the best time or the time that the most users are opening them. In the end, we decided on a combination of like our staff schedules and our timing and when we're having events versus like, you know, the quote unquote best times for people to open their emails. Because really, like, it could be Monday morning at 8 a.m. is like the best time to send an email, but that is not a convenient time for me or my team because like we might have stuff that comes up on Monday that we would rather send out the email on Thursday. So usually I aim for like a Thursday email midway through the month so that they're not like competing for the attention of everyone that sets their email to happen on the very first or the 15th or, you know, a more arbitrary date. So really, it's about getting to know your audience and getting to know your team and understanding your needs. This year, because I know that our festival is in May, I counted back from like the daily emails that I'll be sending during the festival, the weekly ones that I want to send before it, the bi-weekly ones that are going to need to come before that during that 3-month big push before the event. And then from that point, I set out a monthly date that I would like to send the emails out for.
Mm-hmm. And so you actually spoke about knowing your audience, right? And so we talked about personalization and that everyone has their different habits. But so knowing your audience, would that mean that you would look at different segments and break your audience up in different buckets? Can you talk about, do you do that and how do you do that?
Absolutely. So for us, it starts right from when a person signs up for our mailing list. If they're signing up through one of the more passive channels, so like a button on our website or the link in the signature of an email, then they get added into like a more general list. If they're signing up through a giveaway or through an external partnership, those get segmented into another one that I call the giveaway list. And that just means that when I'm seeing attrition rates in our email of like unsubscribes or something like that after an event, I can see whether it's increased in the giveaway list or if it's increased on the organic, and that kind of gives me a sense of whether it's like something to worry about or just like a natural consequence of like people signing up for newsletters and then just deciding that they're not interested. The other thing that I do with segmentation is that we offer people the ability to customize their experience through managing their own subscription. So we have our main newsletter. We have a festival updates only for the people that are not interested in the monthly throughout the year newsletters and really just want to get like the important information about the festival. And then we also have subscriptions for our exhibitors, our publishers, and our volunteers. And so people can really customize their own experience on their end. without like, being bombarded by us on topics that they might not be interested in.
So actually, that's really interesting, customizing your experience. So I know for me, customizing my experience, I am a definite mobile user. Everything is on my phone. I rarely use my computer to check emails, or well, at least newsletters and read things like that. So can you tell me about mobile optimization?
Yeah, so I'm also the kind of person that reads my email off my phone constantly. And so it's really important for me as the communications manager to ensure that our emails look beautiful, whether people are viewing them on a desktop or a tablet or on their mobile device. So one of the ways that we do that is by picking the right email marketing platform, because when you're talking about mobile optimization, you're really talking about responsive design. And that is kind of like an HTML thing where like it's really funny to me that I'm basically coding a simple web page every time I'm sending out an email because I am horrible with technology and it does not come naturally to me at all. So choosing the right email marketing platform that already has that functionality that's going to help you to convert your emails from a desktop mode to a mobile mode really easily is super important. But you always want to be able to kind of double check their work and make sure that it's still looking good. So whenever I finish an email and I'm sending it to my team for review, I ask them to look for typos, I ask them to check all the links, and I also send it to my personal email so I can scroll through my device and make sure that it looks beautiful there too, and that the formatting isn't going wonky or the images aren't showing up like extra small on it for some reason. There's all kinds of like weird coding quirks that happen. There's all kinds of weird tongue twisters. There's all kinds of weird coding quirks that can happen when it's translating that page from an email design or a web or a desktop design to a mobile design.
No, I know there are all of these quirks and things you have to work around to make sure that the user experience is really great. But I mean, when we talk about working around things, I can't even imagine what the strategy is to get around getting out of that spam box. So what do you do for users that your email just keeps going into their spam?
I wish I knew because like we struggle with this too. Like anyone who's sending out emails, there is the challenge of ending up in the spam folder. One way that you can help to ensure that that doesn't happen is by directly asking people to add your email to their contacts. So usually that can happen in terms of a welcome message. The other way that we do it is by making sure we're letting people know that we have a newsletter on other channels. So when a newsletter goes out each month, I will also usually tweet about it. Sometimes I'll take a screenshot of it, especially if it looks really cute, and I'll throw it up on our social media pages. I'll link to it in our bio. I'll make sure that everywhere people know that we've put out a new newsletter and they can either access it through that channel or it's like a reminder to go and check their inbox and see if we've emailed them recently.
So those are really, really great strategies. And I know you were mentioning that you use a lot of tools and software online to help you with all of these nuances, such as coding, special promotions. So maybe could we talk a little bit more of what softwares you use? Can you tell me some names and what they're used for?
Yeah, so in terms of making our emails look like extra beautiful, we use Canva to help design our graphics and to make sure that we have kind of cohesive branding across our website, our social media channels, and our email marketing. Another platform that we use that I mentioned before is Emma. So this is our email system. It manages our subscriptions. It, people can register to receive whatever newsletters or updates they want from us. That is a really important tool for us. Another one that we use to build our list is SweepWidget, which is a giveaway platform. And that allows us to access new audiences and build that list up. And then another one that we've integrated within our email marketing system is Eventbrite. And they have some really great integration tools that allow us to link our Eventbrite pages directly within the emails themselves. And so that means that when we're talking about that all important call to action button, it can either link directly to the event or directly to a page on our website where people can learn more about the festival or whichever activity we're promoting at that time.
That makes a lot of sense. And so, but I mean, in reality, all of these softwares and platforms, they do cost money. And I think budget is always top of mind of any organizer. How do you budget for email marketing? And what does that look like in the totality of all of your marketing initiatives?
Yeah, so email marketing in terms of budget, a lot of the platforms will base the cost on the audience size. So for the word on the street, based on the volume of emails that we're sending and our audience size, we have a pretty low cost monthly subscription to Emma. For other tools and platforms that we might need only around that 3-month period leading up to our event, we often do temporary subscriptions, or we'll talk to them and try to get a nonprofit discount or a "we're really nice, please like us" discount. And that's been a really effective tool for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. When we talk about pitfalls, we did talk about pitfalls before, but just any common mistakes that you've seen or you've experienced personally that we can tell our audience, hey, make sure to avoid this.
Yeah, I think a big one is the idea that in order to make your emails accessible, that you shouldn't include any images. I think that including images with the accessible alt text is actually a really fun opportunity to be a little more playful, make sure that your content is accessible to as many people as possible. And in the description, so providing an image description for accessibility purposes, you can really use that as another exercise to set the tone and the brand of your festival. So for example, we were offering a COVID risk report leading up to our return to the streets in 2022. And I made a cute little weather graphic in Canva that was basically snowy to sunny with some weird COVID molecules in the background that were just there to scare us. And in the description of all of these images that we included in all of these emails at kind of the bottom or shared them on social media, I would find a way to talk about the real risk that our event might be canceled in a fun and playful way, and add in some weather jokes in there that I wouldn't usually get to do in an email about a book festival.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned alt text. Maybe we should talk about what alt text is, just so to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Alt text is a way to ensure that coding, again, that the email that you are seeing can also be seen by screen-to-text readers. So these are accessibility devices for people that are visually impaired or who might have trouble seeing or reading an email. So what it does is it provides a text version of the images that we're seeing so that it can describe them for a user who might not be seeing that visual.
We talked earlier about A/B testing and the success of certain subject lines. What are key metrics that we can use to determine whether email campaigns are successful or not successful?
So the metrics that we use to determine the success of an email marketing campaign really comes down to how many people are opening it and how many people are clicking on those links that you really want them to click on. So if I'm sending out an email that's really just more information-based, where we're not really asking people to click into a different environment, then just the open rate is the success rate that I'm looking for. If, however, I have a more specific call to action, like I really want people to RSVP to our event, or I really want them to donate to a specific campaign, or I want them to sign up for something, then the click-through rate is what I'm going to be looking at.
How do you use the data points to figure out your strategy? So for example, if you saw that one marketing campaign was successful, do you really dig deep into that and keep doing that in the future?
Yeah, so what I was noticing over the course of my tenure as the communications manager at The Word on the Street was that we saw a much higher click-through rate when we embedded a button partway through the text in the beginning preamble of the email, rather than waiting and putting it right at the end. And so that really helped us to design our content around ensuring that the call to action was really visible and very clear.
What do you see as the future for email marketing?
I actually see a lot of growth in the future of email marketing, because I think that especially as we're in this changing landscape of social media platforms, having that direct access, having the ability to DM all of your audience at once is becoming increasingly important. It also offers like an opportunity to be a bit more personal, to like really talk directly to your audience, to the people that you're hoping to bring into your festival or event. So I see a lot of growth in email marketing, and we've seen that with the increase in newsletters and other subscription services that are offering people that more direct connection.
And so if we were to summarize everything, because I know we talk about the life cycle of email marketing, I think there was a point where we were just getting too many emails. And so there was probably a decline. But what you're saying is that during this pandemic period, that interest actually has increased and people are engaging more with email marketing. So what would you say, what would you advise festival organizers of the importance and why they should take this seriously?
Absolutely. I think the first thing to do is to ask your audience. Survey your existing newsletter subscriber base and ask them what they like about your emails and what they want to see from you in the future, and really incorporate their feedback into your work. The other like key takeaways that I would say is to ensure that you have a very clear call to action with every single one of your emails. If you are asking people to give you their attention, you really need to make sure that you've earned it and that you're treating it with care.
Do you have any last words or advice or key takeaways for our audience of email marketing?
Oh man. I would say my final advice is to be playful and really tie it back to your brand voice. Talk with your team, establish what you think that voice is, and use it to kind of create a persona that's going to be able to directly connect to your audience, whether you're using email marketing or another pillar of your overall communication strategy. It should be part of like a more holistic approach so that people feel like they're getting to know you and your festival on like a more personal level.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us and teaching us all about email marketing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Reminder that along with this video podcast, you will find the following items on the portal: a summary of the key takeaways provided by our expert about the topic at hand, a short and practical assignment suggested by our expert for you to put into action towards your own business or career. Thank you, festival producers, artists, entrepreneurs. Keep on creating. See you at the next episode of the Level Up Festival Academy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, watch me. Level up, level up.